when I started thinking about the book of Exodus. And all of a sudden, it became apparent, so clear, that actually just following, the history of the book of Exodus, there is everything I want to talk about. And I really was excited. I was so very happy. I'm quite sure that all of you know about this story, this great epic story that is the liberation of Israel and the entrance into the promised land. All of you, more or less, as you may be religious people, or even if you are not, you may have heard, But what is amazing about this story is that its interest is not purely historic. St. Paul also in 1 Corinthians says, all these things happened to them, that is to the Israelites, as a way of example, and they were described in writing to be a lesson for us. That is the key. That is the key. That somehow what happened then, nearly 3,000 years ago, actually it is a lesson for us. And also the great fathers of the church, they could see very clearly that the Bible, especially in these books, there is a literal sense. That is what the story actually is talking about. But there is also a spiritual sense. That means that we can interpret those situations, those realities, the events that happened to the Israelites, and find a spiritual sense that could be also applicable to us. And this is exactly what I am talking about. We can see that there are 4 great chapters, 4 great sections in the history of the Exodus. The first is slavery. When the people of Israel, are slaves, and not only slaves, they are condemned to death, to die in Egypt. The second moment is liberation, when God, through the person of Moses, frees powerfully, with great marvels and great miracles, frees the people of Israel from the oppression of Pharaoh and the Egyptians. The third moment is the passing through the desert, the walk through the desert, a very long one, that stands for transformation. And finally, when the people of Israel enters the promised land. And that means final and total union with God. There is really so much to talk about. And as I said before, that makes me so happy and so excited, because actually I have a lot in my heart to share with you about each and every one of these great movements or moments. And also through this story I have the legitimacy, of the reason, of the rationale, to explain one after the other, and everything will make sense. Everything will make sense. I'm surprised also to say that although I have read quite a number of spiritual books, they very seldom dwell into the book of Exodus, just passing by, maybe some reference here and there, but not really taking the book of Exodus as it really is, as the great epic of our spiritual journey, the great epic history of our spiritual journey, from the one extreme to the other, from sin, death, alienation, slavery, to joy, bliss, happiness, union with God. An amazing journey. And I hope that you will be as excited as I am. Because I don't know you, but I'm going to enjoy this hearing so much. The preparation and also, the delivery of the talks. So, I'm going to start. And I will be talking about the first moment, or the first chapter. That is when the people of Israel were slaves in Egypt. Before I start, I need to tell you that Egypt in the Bible has a very deep meaning. In the Bible, Egypt represents salvation. Yeah, that's true, salvation. In which way? When people, or the nations around Egypt, they didn't have anything to eat, they were distressed by famine, they will go to Egypt, because in Egypt there is always food. That is the richness of Egypt. And why is that? Egypt, is the wonder of the river Nile. Because the rest is a desert. But thanks to the river, they enjoy regular crops. So they could enjoy, this amazing richness. Wheat was always for sure in Egypt. Even if other countries will be starving, in Egypt there will always be wheat. Always something to eat, food. So that means salvation. That means salvation. But this salvation is tricky, because ultimately, at the end, there will be trouble. There will be trouble. So this is the meaning, the symbolical meaning, of Egypt in the Bible. Salvation, yes, but at the end, trouble. And this is exactly what happened to the Israelites. You may know that the sons of Jacob, they went down to Egypt looking for food, and they found it. And the Bible says that they grew, and they become a very powerful, very numerous people. This is what the Bible says. Then a new king, a new pharaoh, who knew nothing of Joseph, rose to power in Egypt. He said to his people, "See, the Israelite people have multiplied and become more numerous than we are." So the Egyptians reduced the Israelites to cruel slavery, making life bitter for them with hard labor, at mortar and brick and all kinds of field work, cruelly oppressed in all their labor. And then the Pharaoh commanded all his people, "Throw into the Nile every boy that is born, but you may let all the girls live." The Israelites groaned under their bondage and cried out. And from their bondage, their cry for help went up to God. God heard their moaning, and God was mindful of his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We are going to talk about the spiritual journey. This is a metaphor, a way of talking, about a spiritual transformation. And there are different stages, different chapters or moments. Stage 0, that is even before everything has started, is the condition of unconsciousness. and consciousness. There is a spiritual master called Andrew Cohen that says, hell is not even know that you are lost. I find this sentence very inspiring. We tend to think that hell, is a place, where the devil is, fire and torture and a lot of pain. But according to this writer, this master, that is not even hell. Hell is a condition where you are not even aware that you are lost. What does it mean to be lost? The answer is simple. To be lost is not to be in communion with God. Is not to be in communion with God. We need to emphasize here something very important. That actually God is in us. God is present in us. As God is present in every single bit of the creation. Otherwise, the creation will come to nothing. So God is always supporting every single bit, every mineral, every bird, every plant, every human being. We cannot be, detached, as it were, from God, because otherwise we will come to nothing. But the paradox is that we human beings, that we are endowed with knowledge, with consciousness, even with self-consciousness, we are not aware of that. And this is our predicament, that we are lost. But we don't experience this lost. Or we don't experience not be in communion with God, as a loss. We are lost, but we don't know it. This is hell. And then people may say, no big deal, if I am lost, as long as I am happy, what is the trouble? If I am lost, but I enjoy my life, what is the problem? If I am lost, but I am doing what I want, what is the problem of not praying or not being in a religion? If I am lost, but I don't know, then why is that hell? I don't have any answer for that. So for those people who may be listening now, and that think that it is not necessary to be in such a thing as connection, communion with God, then I don't have anything to say. And actually I think this is a good moment, to say a few words about these talks. Some of my friends listening said that these talks are meant to be for those people who are already believers, for religious people. I don't know if these talks are for religious people. What I know very clearly is that these talks are not for everyone. My intention is not to be popular or to reach countless number of people, or that the number of viewers is very high, This is not really my intention. I don't plan to be a YouTuber, very famous. No, not really. my intention really is to connect, to create a connection with you. What kind of connection? A deep personal connection and a deep spiritual connection. That is what really matters to me. And that we may walk together in this path. We call it the spiritual path. Why? Because we are spiritual beings. And because I believe that this spiritual path is the most important, I don't know if the word achievement is appropriate, maybe not, is the most important endeavor, the most important, thing, I don't know, I am lack of words here, that we can do on earth, as we will see, as the people of Israel, because it is a path from unconsciousness, from slavery, from forgetfulness, from distress, from depression, from anxiety, from sin, all the way to union with God, to happiness, to joyfulness, to peace, to love. So I believe this is the best we can do for ourselves and from others. So if you are unconscious, or better, if you think, sorry, I am okay, I don't need more trouble, then of course maybe these talks are not for you. But if you are not only unconscious, but you want to be conscious, maybe we can continue our talk. And then we will realize actually that the next stage from unconsciousness is distress. Maybe stage 0 could be placid, could be even comfortable. You are not so bad, but when you move on, or when the Holy Spirit, is drawing you to Him, you may experience distress. And this distress may appear in very different ways. I'm going just to mention some of them. For instance, why I am not able to enjoy life, although it seems I have everything. Why time is running so fast? Some people may even say, is that it? Time is running out. Is that all? Or why do I feel so restless and discontent? I would like to share now the deep cry of the mother of a friend of mine, a very dear friend of mine that has already passed away. His name was Joseph. And actually I was very close also with his mother, a very humble woman, very hardworking. But somehow it seems to me that also unsatisfied, because for her life was hard and painful. So one day, I remember in front of her son, in a very, I will say, naive or innocent way, she cried out, Vincent, Vincent, when will be my turn to enjoy life? According to her, to her naive way of thinking, is that we are on this life only for one purpose, to enjoy life. I don't think that she was also a religious person. So she said, if we are here merely for a reason, to enjoy life, how come that I am now maybe 50 plus or 60, and until now, I haven't really enjoyed life? Then when is it going to be my turn? The way she said it was quite desperate. as if there will be no hope for her, you know, that maybe I am now 60, but maybe if I am 70 still, it will not be my turn. So I remember these words, you know, that still are in my memory. This very sad cry of a very humble woman, hardworking mother of 2 sons, and that life passed by her, and at the end, I haven't really enjoyed life. So when is it going to be my turn? So, as I said, as people are growing older, you know, approaching midlife or even further, they may ask, why don't my relationships give me the fulfillment I thought they would? Why aren't my children, you know, turning out the way I hoped? Why life is not what I expected? Why even these new hobbies or these classes I attending or the second career, because I was trying to be more authentic, you know? Why they don't give me the satisfaction I expected? Why is it that nothing seems to last? At the end, what does it all mean? What does everything mean, you know? I also remember when I was very small, maybe 6 or 7, sometimes my grandmother would have kind of explosive or funny, you know, cries. And sometimes he will say something like, my son, everything is a lie. Life is all a lie. I remember saying things like that. Why would an old lady, old woman say, my son, everything is a lie. Everything is rubbish. You may know that the Buddha had a very clear insight that life is suffering, and also that we cannot really be happy because we are looking in the wrong direction. You may know this little joke, you know, that there was a man, you know, bent down and looking for something, you know, under a light post, you know. And then someone approached him and said, what are you doing? And he said, I'm looking for my key. Oh, you're looking for your key. So does it mean that that your key was somehow lost around here? He said, no, it was over there. But here, there is more light. So you see? So how could this man expect to find the key? Looking for it in the wrong place, only because there is more light there. So the same happened to us, you know. We are looking for happiness where there is more light, but not actually where happiness lies. The Dalai Lama said, we all know from personal experience that what we deeply aspire to gain is happiness, and what we try to avoid is suffering. Yet, our actions and our behavior only lead to more suffering and not to the lasting joy and happiness that we seek. This must surely mean that we are operating within the framework of ignorance. This is how we experience the fundamental confusion at the root of our life. So you see, I have been talking about very negative things: unhappiness, distress, dissatisfaction, and so on and so forth. But although these things are very negative, actually for us they are very good, because these things can be the wake-up call And actually God can approach us from many different ways. Illness, misfortune, bankruptcy, divorce, rejection, inner trials, sense of failure. So my dear friend, I want to say this, and I don't know how to say it, but I'm going to tell you with all my love, if you listening to me here, experience yourself in any condition that is not ideal, that is sad, that you experience as negative, either positive pain, positive sadness, depression, or simply a nagging feeling of insatisfaction, a kind of restlessness, then somehow God may be knocking at your door. Somehow this could be the wake-up call. Somehow this could be the beginning of the journey. Somehow you are not in hell anymore. If you feel that you are lost, congratulations. Really, I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, because you are not in hell anymore. Someone said, oh my God, I am 47 and I have everything I want, but I keep feeling that there is a little unfed orphan inside me that needs something completely different from the things I have spent my life working for. I can't believe where the years have gone. What I have is not really what I want anymore. But I don't know what it is I do want now. And I don't know how to feed the little orphan inside me. If you don't know, then that means something inside you, is crying out for help. What I find really amazing is that the people of Israel, is the chosen people. The people that have been particularly elected, particularly chosen by God. We know that. And how did God choose the people of Israel? God chose them especially when they were in deep distress, in deep pain, in slavery. God chose a people that were condemned to die. It seems like a joke. It seems so funny. In our culture, that laughs and ridicules and scorns at anything or anyone who is a loser. A loser. God chose a loser. And I don't know what to say, it's amazing. And you think that you're in the opposite, condition to be chosen because you are a loser. Or some of your circumstances could be those of a loser. Then congratulations. When you go, or when I go, to a job interview, we try to present ourselves, in the best possible life. We try to present ourselves as confident, well-behaved, good-looking, well-dressed, with what it takes for the job. We try to hide our shortcomings, our sadness, our failures, our insatisfaction. all the things that we are ashamed of. And my goodness, for this journey, for this election, for being elected by God, it is exactly the opposite. God especially is looking for, our vulnerability, our sense of failure, our sense of incompleteness, all these things. And this is the crack where the light will come in. Exactly the same story than Abraham. An old man, tired man, without a son. With Abraham, God started also an amazing journey. And the same will happen with the people of Israel and with you.